to Red Zone Sports AFC North Preview Edition. Okay, you guys know, like, on accident, like when you open up your phone for to turn music on and it's not connected to your headphones, so everyone around you hears their music.
Yeah.
Can you imagine one of our listeners, like, on accident, like, does it at the gym? And that noise would happen, and everyone just looks at him like what a fucking freak. Like,
no, it's like that one free Apple song you got like 4 years ago, but like when your phone resets, and it connects and it just automatically plays that song. Like,
it just plays the U2 album that nobody wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, we didn't ask for this.
But our song's way better. It's okay.
All right, guys, we're in the NFC North. This is an interesting division. I think
before we start, because you always forget to say it, please subscribe and hit thumbs up. Joe, you're supposed to be the host.
Like, subscribe, comment, download us on Apple,
smash the like
follow
button.
Us on Twitter.
Tell us where we're wrong in the comments. Bring it on.
Yeah, look, hop on Twitter and start ripping at us, because look, I love it. Like, it's all fun, but let's get on there and mix it up.
And that's the only way to get Joey on Twitter is to fight. So someone, please.
Yeah, it really is. I only like to argue on there, and yeah,
right.
if it's anything intelligent, I want nothing part of it.
Come tell Joey how shitty his takes are.
I would love to argue.
All right.
All right, guys.
All right.
So we're gonna start off with the Browns because they're the Browns. So
they're the Browns.
What do you guys think here? I mean, my favorite player almost in the league is on this team. I'm just gonna start like
Deshaun
Nick
Watson?
Chubb.
Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb
is like
Chubb.
If you actually look at the deep analytics of Nick Chubb's career, like he actually might be the best running back in like NFL history stat wise. He's insane. And I know Jerome Ford's going to be sharing some carries with him this year, but it's still going to be a 75-25 split. Nick Chubb's still getting 25 carries a game.
That's generous, Joe.
Can we all just thank the Lord that Kareem Hunt is gone?
Yeah.
Like from stealing touches from him and goal line touches and all that.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. And the frustrating part of Nick Chubb is gone, his other half, Kareem Hunt. And now Jerome Ford still could be that person. But the talent that Nick Chubb is, I can't go away from the guy. He's that good. He's one of my favorite players to watch. He's one of my favorite players to play. We were talking about in the last podcast how Tyreek Hill has that upside to literally win you weeks. So does Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm. And so finally, his ADP is starting to creep up into the back half of the first round. But I have a massive amount of Nick Chubb because he was going in the middle of the second round. So I could take Tyreek Hill at 6 and then turn around and take Nick Chubb. I was like, what is going on here, right? If I wanted to get crazy, I could take Kelsey late in the first round at 7 or 8 and then just go get Chubb. I wasn't forced to go get a running back with my first pick. Now he's up into the 10, 11 range where he's going pretty consistently. He's still dropping in some drafts, but pretty quickly here, people, I hope, are going to start to figure it out. But if not, that's fine. I'll just keep taking a shitload of Nick Chubb.
He's one of the few true last bell cows in the league in an offense that is predicated on the run with the second-rated preseason offensive line by PFF.
100%.
The situation could not be any better for him this year.
Nope.
You know? So
and then you have his teammate who plays wide receiver, who you guys Joey still hates, but it's okay. I tried to tell you guys.
It's deep rooted. I'm sorry.
I tried to tell you guys last year, just play Amari Cooper. Every single week, you guys no. Oh, that's fine. 20 points, 25, 30, 22. If we're looking for concentrated offenses, this is about as good as it gets in the NFL. You've got a solid quarterback with a great running back and a wide receiver who he literally gets 65% of the end zone the red zone target share. It is bonkers. And again, here's a guy that ADP wise is going way too late in drafts.
Yeah, I'm higher on him this year just from the sense that we at least know the quarterback situation, and Watson has played a little bit for the first time in 2 years. Like, they're going to have an off season together. They're going to be able to practice together. It was just such a weird situation last year. I got it from a DFS perspective why you play him, but just from a season long thing. But yes, your point being, he is clearly the number one receiver there. It's a very concentrated offense, like you said. I don't still have a lot of faith in Elijah Moore or DPJ. They're just, guys at this point, until they're not, you know what I mean?
I mean, DPJ, people are really excited about him. He just doesn't get enough targets. I mean,
he's that guy that gets you the 185-yard touchdown in like the first drive of the game, and then you never see him again.
Yeah, that's it. He'll go like 3 for 93 and a touchdown. Like that's like an outstanding day for DPJ.
Once every 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah.
I will say I think one of those guys for sure by midseason is overtaken by Cedric Tillman, the receiver out of Tennessee, who's really freaking good. And they took him the 3rd round this year. I just looked because, sorry I didn't watch the whole preseason game, but he had 2 or 3 catches tonight for like 30 yards. Like,
he looked okay.
He's going to end up being better than DPJ. Like, let's just call it what it is, or Elijah Moore, who gets hurt every other game. Cedric Tillman's going to be a guy. Like, I don't know how good he's going to be. He's not someone I'm like rushing to take in best ball or season long, but he's going to be a guy in the mix there in that rotation. So if you want to take a late round flyer on him, he's going to play.
Sure. Joe, you got anybody?
In the end, no, it's Nick Chubb. Through and through. That's the guy that I'm targeting if I'm targeting Browns players. Otherwise, not really into it. I don't really trust. I just don't trust Stefanski that much. I feel like he overthinks things. He doesn't. We talked about this last year in many, many different shows, where Stefanski will just shoot himself in the foot. Right? He'll just take Chubb out of the game and try to let Watson cook, and that's why they lose. Right? Because they can't sustain a drive or something. I just don't trust Kevin Stefanski to bring us to the championship here.
If he is there and he's the price is right and like in everything else in terms of like ADP, like David Njoku is totally fine. Like, he's a good tight end. Like, you know what I mean?
He's fast. He's fast. Yeah. He's athletic. I think he's a guy that you can definitely. I mean, the tight end position is really lean. Amari Cooper does get hurt from time to time. Joe, if he goes down,
he also
and is nicked up. Njoku is just going to be in line for like a massive target share in the red zone. So, I mean, I like Njoku. The one argument you can make against him is that he's not on the field as much during running plays because he's not the best run blocker. Early reports out of camp or he looks much improved at that. So, I'm happy about that. I think the Browns are an interesting team. I'm interested to see a couple of games and see how things go. But, I mean, I'm all in on Nick Chubb.
All right, cool. What do you guys think about moving on to the Steelers next?
That's fine.
I just want to preface the Steelers offense where they have 5 players drafted in the first or the second round starting from either 21, 22, or 23. So just about half of their offense has been drafted in the first 2 rounds in the last 3 years. That's just exciting. Right, you get those young players. It's really exciting. You got Najee. Does Kenny Pickett take the next step? You got Pat Freiermuth, George Pickens. I mean, Deontay Johnson's always in play. Does Allen Robinson have a resurgence? I mean, this could potentially actually be a really exciting offense. What do you guys think?
Jim, you start because you have your biases on certain people.
Well, look.
Is it still too soon?
I'm going to try and it'll always be too soon. But look, I'm going to try and set that aside. I just have serious reservations that if the running game is not there, that Kenny Pickett can go throw the ball. Because look, at the end of the day, we talked about it with the Bills. They tried to run. This is a passing league. Okay. The Niners try and run the shit out of the ball. They still throw the ball a ton, okay? I just don't know that Kenny Pickett can go out there and get that done based on the way the offense is set up. Now, you want to talk about my other concern with the Steelers is their depth at wide receiver. Because, I love Deontay Johnson. I'm all over him on fantasy, best ball. Just take him. He had no touchdowns last year. That's never going to happen again. It's just like the weirdest thing ever. That just doesn't happen, right? So you're going to have regression back to the mean, and it's going to be positive regression. If Pickens or him goes down, you're talking about a whole shitload of guys that, like Calvin Austin III, Jamarcus Bradley, Dez Fitzpatrick, who was cut from the Titans, Gunnar Olszewski, okay, Cody White. This is really bad. Allen Robinson, who is just like older than dirt now, can't separate. He'll be fine if he can play out of the slot. But if one of those guys gets hurt, and that's a good spot for him. But look, if we're talking about, we had some depth concerns with Miami, the Steelers I think are worse. I mean, because most of these wide receivers that they have on the 2 deep, Gunnar Olszewski, Cody White, Calvin Austin, Dez Fitzpatrick, these guys are all like 5'10" and shorter. These guys are the midget squad out there.
But they did turn over this offensive line quite a bit, right? If this Broderick Jones kid comes out and he's a stud at left tackle, right, it changes this entire thing, right? You got Najee, everything elevates, right? Yeah. You got Cole Mason at center. You got the Isaac Seumalo from Philadelphia. They completely turned over this offensive line. Kenny Pickett improved throughout the entire season last year.
So the thing is,
6 games were night and day.
I mean, but look, from a fantasy standpoint, outside of Deontay Johnson, is there one person that you can go, oh yeah, I'll just plant my flag with that guy and not be worried about it?
Well, so that's why, again, at the end of the day, again, I may be wrong here, but I look at the improved offensive line. He's gonna be coming up here in contract talks. Najee has to have a good season for this team to win a lot of games, because the whole offense is going to be predicated. They're not going to be out there throwing the ball 45 times to Kenny Pickett. This is not the Steelers of.
But Najee might be back in that territory of getting 10 catches a game in that last Big Ben season.
Well, the thing is, their offense, like Jim says, just super concentrated around Deontay and George and Pickens and Freiermuth, right? That's it. There is no one else. But Najee,
the reason Najee wasn't getting the ball last year is because the offensive line. I mean, he got handed the ball and he was getting hit at the line of scrimmage.
So that's what I'm saying, though. His efficiency isn't there. His touches were the same. He was involved in the passing game. He was also fucking banged up. He had turf toe in camp. Who knows how long that lingered?
I mean, the guy's 245 pounds. I mean, is it fair to say that maybe he's peaked already?
No, because again, he's rushed for over 1,000 yards both of his.
I think he had an insane rookie year. I think he had an insane rookie year. He came in year 2 a little banged up with literally probably the worst offensive line in the league with a rookie quarterback, right? And it wasn't even a first-round rookie quarterback, right? Pickett was one of those guys who are hey, let's see what we got here.
So what's funny is his stats were almost identical, Jim, except he had 33 less catches. And
that's a big fucking deal.
No,
Big Ben wasn't dumping it to him every play.
I totally get it. But I'm saying is if he's even a little bit healthier and he's being used in the passing game and he's being used in some of these other areas.
But my whole thing is with the emergence of Jalen Warren last year, he's the passing down guy. I don't care if you do or not. The Steelers use him on. He played last year. Out of the snaps that he played 233 passing snaps to 109 running snaps.
So again, I think a lot of that was just, hear me out here. I truly think the Steelers knew they didn't have shit last year. Why would you just destroy and run Najee into the ground when you knew your team wasn't going to be that great, just so Tomlin can get his 500 record? Right? They knew from the beginning that team wasn't that great.
Najee's not Le'Veon Bell, though. And I think that's the mistake that people keep making with him. He's a bigger back and he's a bruiser. Okay. I think that Tomlin knows that. Tomlin wants to try and win this year. So they would, and they need Najee healthy to do that. they're going to play Jaylen Warren more than you guys think. I'm just telling you right now. They showed what they did last year, right? And to your point, Joe, they let Warren play a little bit at the end of the year and showed that, like, okay, he can play, right? So now they have that luxury. And as a coach, yeah, I'm not going to pound my guy if I don't need to, right? Like, we'll bring him off the field when it's 3rd and 11 on our own 22, right? Mm-hmm. As to where before it was just, oh, he's just out there all the time.
Yeah, I just think if you go back and look at it, like just go look at week by week, like every week Najee was like he was hurt with something. Like, and the guy still had 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. So all I'm saying is, like, for a guy that's going in the 3rd, 4th round of drafts, like the floor is like insanely high for a guy like that.
Okay.
Again, we're not talking about taking him pick 6 here, right? Like that's not the conversation. He's going in the 4th round, like 5th round. Like that is way too low for a guy that is like going to be a lock for 1,000 yards.
Yeah. All right. So let's go around the table. Who is your number one player if you had him, if you wanted to trade up in best ball, you want to go get your guy, who's that guy going to be?
On the Steelers?
Yeah, on the Steelers.
Vinny?
I mean,
you might be drafting 8 before on the ADP, right? Go up and get your guy. Who's the guy here?
I mean, I have a ton of Najee, but like I'm not. It's just because he's falling to me, like in the 4th and 5th round. It's a no-brainer pick. So I guess Joey? I'll go him. Yeah.
Joey?
I've always been in love with Deontay. Deontay Johnson's won me a lot of DFS games. He's just that guy that's going to get you that PPR. He's going to score you some touchdowns. Obviously, last year was not the case. I think this is one of the most improved teams year over year. And right, they went 9-8 last year. I think the Steelers can get up into that 10-win category. It's just all about if Kenny Pickett takes that next step in the end. But Deontay Johnson, whether Kenny Pickett's good or not, Deontay Johnson is still going to get 85 plus catches this season. George Pickens is going to be the highlight reel, but Deontay Johnson is going to be the more consistent receiver.
So I'm going for Pickens simply because I am going for the spike weeks. And year 2, again, we just talked about it. It's typically when receivers take that next step. I mean, I think that the sky's the limit for this guy. And I love Deontay. But the nice part about the Steelers offense is it's really just Deontay and Pickens. It's not like you don't really have to be like, well, it could be this guy, it could be that guy. Like it's pretty concentrated. Those are the 2 guys. They're going fairly late in drafts. So, I think if I had to choose, I'll choose the 6'3", 200-pounder who can jump and is just a crazy freak athlete. I love Deontay, but if I got to pick out of one, I got to go Pickens.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens because the obvious team at number 1 here is the Bengals. Yes. Which is that's like my side team for the last few years. Like Raiders are my team, but like the Bengals are my other team. Everyone's got to have an other team.
The Baltimore Ravens.
Which this is going to be an interesting one. I think I have a lot of like personal bias against the Ravens, which makes it always tough. And it sometimes really screws me because I'll avoid guys just because I don't want them because they're on the Ravens. I don't know if that's something deep rooted from when they beat the Raiders in the AFC Conference Championship game in 2000, in the year 2000. I mean, it could be rooted from that, but the only thing that bothers me here is they're being hyped so much. Everyone's talking about them. It's all over ESPN. It's all over Twitter. It's all about, Odell Beckham this year, Lamar Jackson this year. I mean, it's starting to bug me a little bit how much they're being talked about.
Their big pickup is a guy who's old and is coming off of a major injury. Okay? I mean, let's not forget, Odell Beckham was drafted in 2014, almost 10 years ago. He's had major injuries, didn't play last year for the majority of the year. 0 snaps played in the NFL last year. We haven't seen older players who take a full year off and then just come back and then all of a sudden be this amazing dynamo. The second problem is that they have a quarterback that is just not a very good passing quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a passing grade that's bottom half of the NFL. Okay. Out of 34 quarterbacks graded by PFF, he's 16th. Okay. That's not good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's just, well, I guess he's just sneaks in the top half, but that's not good. Like, all of these moves were based around getting all of these weapons for Lamar, when the best thing that Lamar does is run. So, like, why didn't we just bolster the offensive line, get some more tight ends? Like,
to think a little bit deeper into this too, what kind of bothers me with this is they bring in Todd Monken. He's supposed to be spreading the offense out and doing all these things, except this Ravens team has been drafting specifically for a run-heavy offense for like the last 10 years.
Correct.
And all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're just going to turn Ronnie Staley into a full-on pass blocker. And it's like, no, that guy is a great run blocker, right? Like, that's what you drafted him for. Tyler Linderbaum, he is a run blocker. So it's like, and Todd Monken's had like no success. He was literally on the unlosable Georgia Bulldogs as the OC, where like they couldn't lose. They had the best defense like in college football history.
Correct.
There's too much hype around this. It's driving me crazy. I think this is going to be an absolute flop.
Have you gone back?
Like, we might see the first couple of games, like some like flashes, and people go, "Oh, we told you," and it's going to take just a little couple adjustments. And
have you gone back and looked at Todd Monken's OC record in the NFL? He was part of the Buccaneers with Dirk Cutter that was fired after 2 seasons, and then he went to the Browns the year after, and with Freddie Kitchens, and got fired there. And you remember how bad of a disaster that was. I'm with you, dude. It's the most talent the Ravens have maybe had on offense in the last 5 years, with the worst offensive coordinator they've had in 5 years.
And couple the fact with that Lamar's not a very good passer with the fact that he's had serious injury history over the last few years.
How many games has he missed? Like 20 games in the last 2 years or something?
Mm-hmm. It's because he runs the ball, right? And that's just what he does. It's why, I mean, even his MVP season, he threw for 36 touchdowns. He only threw for 3,100 yards. I mean, fucking Zach Wilson threw for like 4,000 yards last year. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not saying like that's yards equal success, but like, I mean, come on, 2020, he threw for 2,700 yards. 2021, 2,800 yards with only 16 touchdowns. Then last year, again, 2,200 yards and 17 touchdowns. Like, that's not good.
And pair that with 2 years ago was 16 touchdowns, 13 picks. Last year was 17 and 7. Like,
well, it's not even the stats. When you watch him throw the ball,
it's bad.
It's so ugly.
His misses are really, really bad. Like, a Niners fan, everyone bags on Trey Lance for like not being able to hit these certain throws. Fucking Lamar Jackson's not very good at it either. So, I mean, they drafted Zay Flowers, which
he's a really good player. We'll see how he translates, but issue was.
And then Bateman again coming back off of injury. I really like Bateman as a player, right?
He's still not even practicing right now.
So you've got Bateman coming off of an injury, Odell Beckham Jr., who didn't play last year because of an injury, and then you've got a rookie in Zay Flowers, who we know college is a good person, but
listen to their number 2s on their depth chart on our lab. It's Devin Duvernay, Nelson
really
Aguilar, Tylan Wallace. Then you got James Prochet, Laquan Treadwell, Shamar Bridges.
By the way,
you got Beckham and Bateman, which are hurt.
Does Duvernay just have a lifetime contract with them?
He just keeps re-signing 2-year deals because they just keep offering it to him. So, like, fuck it, why not?
Now, I will say
this is only his like 3rd season.
They do have a very good offensive line.
4th season.
They do. So that brings me
flipping the entire offense. I don't know.
The guy that I am most interested in is J.K. Dobbins. No one's talking about him. Look again, coming off of an injury. Yeah. Common theme with this fucking team that everyone is just
the whole team was hurt last year.
Writing in to challenge the Bengals for the division, which I think is silly. But I think J.K. Dobbins is a guy who runs really hard. He finished he finished the year last year. He came back at the end of the year, so he wasn't hurt all year, which is why I like him probably the most out of everybody. He's good. He's just going way too late in drafts for a guy. You want to talk about some ugly names at running back. Well, let's see here.
Gus the bus.
Oh no, you know who's going to make an impact. Who just signed there?
Melvin Gordon.
He's gonna
loser.
Play.
No, I don't play. Even.
Absolutely.
I bet you he doesn't even make the fucking team.
Well, J.K. Domas right now, he's like holding out. He wants a new deal. The guy's played in like 7 games in his career.
Look, I'm so done hearing about the running backs. As soon as Le'Veon Bell sat out the year and then his career was fucking shot, he fucked every single running back for the rest of time because they saw that so we'll just say fuck you to these guys and then they'll be shit afterwards if they sit out for a full year. They won't have the same burst. They'll have injury problems, blah, blah, blah.
Well, no, so it's my favorite meme that I even posted today. It's the Buzz Lightyear in the store. Mm-hmm. And it's just they're so replaceable. I mean, yeah, you got these guys like a Nick Chubb that are that's a top 2 guy. If so not a top 2,
I'm not concerned about him missing any time. I'm actually happy that he's doing that because his ADP is shit right now. So I can pick him up and really feel pretty good about what direction we're going with him. Because if you look at all the other names in the backfield, he's going to get 65% of the carries.
So I really hope they cut Melvin Gordon. And I hope all these other guys get kind of banged up because the one guy at the bottom of that depth chart who it was from East Carolina. And I know some of these people out here are who watches East Carolina football? This guy watches East Carolina football. And their running back, Keaton Mitchell, is one of the fastest guys on the draft that they took. That dude can absolutely fly, and I hope they find a way to get him involved in this offense.
So I think he'll make the team.
He's just small, so it's he has to be a kicker returner. And they'll have him return kicks rather than Zay Flowers. So I think he'll make the team. So I mean that could be a pretty wild last pick in best ball. But dude, fuck it, why not? If Melvin Gordon makes this team, just avoid this running back situation because he's going to screw it up somehow. He's going to get involved and he's going to
so bad.
Yeah, no,
they're going to screw Javonte for a couple years in Denver, just a mess, man. So
and before that, he was screwing Eckler.
I mean,
forgot about that.
We'll close it up with. We've got Mark Andrews. As long as
how's that
going to
look? But how's that going to look in this new offense? That's what I'm more concerned about. I feel like Mark Andrews' success has come from Lamar Jackson being able to run the football. Right, and linebackers get sucked up on play action, Lamar's ability to run, and that's how Andrews gets open. How does this look in a spread offense? Mark Andrews is a really big tight end. How does he do in that kind of open space, right, where he usually navigates right behind the linebackers? So I'm more interested to see how this offense looks in general this season.
Yeah, I don't think that Andrews is going to put up the yardage numbers that he has in the past. I think his touchdown numbers will probably be okay. But from what you said, Joey, I mean, it's just going to look a lot different than fucking Greg Roman's running offense that they've, to Vinny's point, have been drafting for the last 6 or 7 years, right? So, I mean, I think the Ravens are going to finish last in that division. I don't think the Ravens are even getting close to the playoffs. And I think that I have no idea why they ended up giving Lamar that big contract. I mean, because now they're stuck with him. And he's peaked. He had a great MVP year, but I think he's toast, and I think that they're fucked.
I'm really concerned about Todd Monken, man. That guy.
He's so bad.
Like Joey said. I could have been Georgia's offensive coordinator, and I'm not saying we would have won the Natty, but we would have won a lot of freaking games. It's not that complicated when you have 5-star players at every position.
You're hiring a new offensive coordinator, okay? Wouldn't you rather you have an established head coach, okay, and a coaching staff around it. Wouldn't you rather get some like young up and comer who is like eager to prove himself? But it's just like, I don't get sometimes why they just do these fucking retreads. Like Jim Schwartz still has a job, and they were talking about him on the broadcast tonight, like, well, he's really going to invigorate that defense. And like, no, Jim Schwartz has been a fucking shitty coach for the last 12 years in this league. He's ran into some good rosters, but like even shitty poker players run into good hands every once in a while, and it's impossible to lose, right? I just wish that these teams would stop going to these fucking shitty retreads and just take the chance on a younger guy, right? Give some guy an opportunity. Like, it's wild to me. I thought that before Bieniemy went away, I thought this would have been a great spot for Eric Bieniemy. But inventive, young coach, you know, the Ravens have always been really high on like pushing like minorities and things like that. So like, I thought that they would really be heavy on that. Harbaugh's toward the end of his tenure. You know, they could have groomed him for the next kind of head coaching spot, but no, they go with Todd fucking Monken, this loser. And I mean, it's just, if you're a Ravens fan, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know where you're going, but
no, I'm not sorry. I don't like you guys. Okay. No. Moving on to the best team in the division, top 3 team in the AFC, and arguably like top 4 team in the entire NFL, and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Joey B and the Striped Cats.
This is the easiest one, right? I mean, we barely even have to talk about this.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty obvious. They signed our guy, Big Irv.
Like, I can't. Oh yeah, we'll talk Irv. But we'll get the obvious ones out of the way. My favorite thing is when I had that like first or second pick of the draft in best ball, and I get to pick Jamar Chase. And I know we're not in the NFC North yet. It's between Jefferson and Chase as the top dogs. Chase is my top dog this year. I mean, Jefferson's the man. I mean, it's a really hard argument. Obviously, like there's no winning or losing here. But if I'm choosing, it's Jamar Chase all day, and then I'm able to grab Burrow in later rounds. It's just that is my most. It gets me the most excited for this season in best ball is when I grab those 2 players. If I have Burrow and Chase, I am fired up going into this season.
But Joe Burrow has a calf strain.
Oh, who cares?
I thought you were going to say my guy.
That guy is fucking nails, dude. That guy's fucking nails.
His ADP after that happened dropped. I'm not kidding you, Joey, in best balls. And this is, again, how many best balls I'm doing. It dropped like 12 to 15 spots, like a round and a half.
It's like he's not a running quarterback. It's like, guys, like a calf, they're going to wrap that. And even if it's a lingering thing all year, it's not a big deal.
It's August
not even close 3rd. To a big deal.
It's August 3rd. And this happened like a week ago already.
And that kind of shit happens the first time in camp, the first week in camp. You get these little strains and aches. And most players have to play through it throughout camp because they're trying to keep their job. They're like,
fucking Joe Burrow.
Just go sit down.
Just relax.
Well, everyone else has to like compete for a job and they'd be playing through this injury. They're like, Joe, just take it easy.
Outside of the main obvious guys, I think Joe Mixon has a really good year this year.
Well, dude, I don't understand.
I just love players that go fully incentive. He's like, I'm in this to win it for the year. He's like, I want good players around me. I'm going to go earn my contract.
I mean, dude, they were kind of like not going to cut him, but like they were telling him like, you need to take a pay cut. And so like,
but he transferred it all to all incentives. Like he could be one of the highest paid running backs in the league this year if he goes off. He's like, no, I'm gonna go earn my dollar.
And go get that next big contract to kind of like solidify himself. So, dude, I think Mixon has a monster year here.
They got rid of P. Ryan, who was just vulturing shit from him last year. Mm-hmm. They drafted that kid Chase Brown, who is a good player. Out of Illinois. He's a good running back, runs like in the low 4.4s, 215, a little shorter. I think he's going to be a good player, but not this year. I mean, this is the Joe Mixon.
The only knock on Chase Brown, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, is he's old, right? Like he's like 24, like as a running back, and that's why he dropped. I mean, he's really good. I think he's just old. And people don't want an old running back.
He just turned 23.
Okay. I mean, that's still pretty old for a running back coming out of college. He's like a redshirt senior plus 1 year, right? So That's the only reason Chase Brown dropped, and that does worry me slightly. But Joe Mixon's always been my guy. I mean, he's one of our local guys on top of that. Bengals on top of that. I think Joe Mixon's due for a comeback year at least. He's going to rebound from last season.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Joe Mixon show for me. He's going way too late in drafts. He's going after guys that are in like severe timeshares. Okay, like Jahmyr Gibbs is going in front of Joe Mixon.
Yeah,
like,
and I'm sorry, I'm taking Joe Mixon over him every day of the week.
Like, what are we talking about? Right
and this offensive line looks real good. I mean, the Orlando Brown signing.
Orlando Brown.
Alex Kappa, Ted Karras. I mean, this is an improved offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, no, the team's stacked, man. They're similar to the Bills, where there's just like dudes on dudes, and they've got guys also like that. My last pick or two of best balls, I'm just taking flyers on guys where it's like Khalil Shakir, or in this case would be like Charlie Jones, who is going to be their fourth receiver. If any one of these three guys gets hurt, he's the guy at Purdue that like literally caught 7,000 balls last year. Like they drafted him to fill in. He's going to replace Tyler Boyd when he goes next year. So
Boyd's Boyd's going into his 8th season, right? I mean, like I love Boyd, but
they can't bring all three of them back. Like Boyd's going to get paid, and they're going to keep Higgins and
the Bengals also run a tremendous amount of 4 wide receiver sets. So
he's going to be on the field.
Toward the end of the year, I mean, I would absolutely expect Charlie Jones to be on the field quite a bit. I mean, he's competing against guys like Trenton Irwin, Trent Taylor.
He's a way better player than them. So that's a guy again in your 18th pick of your best ball. Like, just take him, because if someone does go down, he's going to have a significant role, and even if he doesn't, he's going to mix in. You know what I mean?
And then brings us to our guy, who I just hope that he stays healthy.
This
is the Irv Smith podcast.
This is the official podcast of Irv Smith. For the 4th straight year, we're hoping he stays healthy, because we're calling our shot.
I got if he can't stay healthy this year, then I'm out. I can't do it.
Say that.
I love him. His skill set's just incredible, right? I thought it was odd that the Vikings just let him walk. I mean, I know they have Hawkinson
too, but they let Conklin go too. They got Hawkinson. They just dropped everybody.
They may just say clearly their offensive philosophy is going away from 12 personnel. But
I think also there's an element to like, dude, when you have a guy, I mean, the Niners deal with this every year. When there's just guys that like, we were talking about Elijah Mitchell, the running back from the Niners. Like, after like 5 straight years of injuries, sometimes you just have to like let a guy go. It's like, I can't do this anymore. Go be someone else. And if you shine, you shine. You know, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with him, you know?
No.
But all the early reports, I just typed his name into Google, and it's like the last 48 hours. Irv Smith shines, relationship with Burrow growing, all this stuff. It's like, God, just put me to sleep.
Please be the year.
Please.
Sing his sweet sonnet.
So, I mean, there's no one else. I mean, you got Drew Sample and Mitchell Wilcox. I mean,
they better hope he stays healthy.
If he doesn't, I mean, honestly, now your Charlie Jones pick is looking really, really good.
Yeah,
if Irv goes down, there's no tight ends.
That's kind of a good little like tidbit right there. Like, if you're playing best ball and you take Irv, you should probably make it a priority to take Charlie Jones very, very late, because he's going to soak up a lot of those snaps that Irv is going to play in the slot when they split him out in the 4 wide receiver sets, right? Like Charlie Jones is only 5'11". He's not, but Irv's only 6'2", right? And
Charlie Jones isn't going to play tight end, but they'll run more 4 wide sets,
100%,
more 3 wide and rotate guys and things like that.
But that's about it. AFC North. Lamar sucks. Fuck Todd Monken.
Wrap it up on a bow.
You know, I'm excited for every podcast, but the AFC South, we're gonna have to like tune something up, because
I just want a half hour of us reading Jim Irsay quotes. That's the AFC South preview.
Can we just finish this up before we get to the AFC South in our next podcast? That I mean, he might be the most like philanthropist.
What are we gonna have a fucking Shamu update on the next podcast?
Did you see that, Joe?
Dude, the guy is literally freeing a killer whale from Miami that's been there for like 55 years, getting it back to its home in the Pacific, paying $20 million. What's making me so happy about this
and Jonathan Taylor's like,
are losing their minds because like you can
imagine
to Jonathan Taylor.
Imagine Jonathan Taylor waking up, reading that, and just like, get me the fuck out of here.
But to be honest, dude, if I woke up and like the Niners came out and said they couldn't pay Nick Bosa and Jed York was flying Shamu from the Atlantic,
I would freak the fuck out.
I would be at Levi Stadium shaking the gates, my friend.
Yes.
Like I would be freaking living. So I get it. I mean, I do.
There's probably a whole documentary behind this that Netflix is going to release about the freedom of this killer whale, and Jim Irsay is actually going to make like $10 million.
Who gives a fuck?
I'm just saying. This is how it works. Everyone thinks he's like this really awesome dude for like freeing this whale, and he's gonna make money off of this.
You know what the crazy part?
He probably just wants to blow a few rails off its fucking dorsal fin or something like that.
He did it.
You know what the crazy part is like Jim Irsay was like one of the big guys to backstab Dan Snyder and get him like kicked out of the league basically to sell the team, and now he's enemy number one as like the worst owner. Like Mark Davis just lays low. Like no one cares about Mark Davis. He's now like enemy number one. He's like
Mark's next on the chopping block. Let's make no mistake about it. They're gonna let him have his one Super Bowl, and then when he steps one fucking foot out of line, they're gonna be like, "All right, dude, get the fuck out." You know,
did you hear the guys say that Irsay drives around in a training camp in a golf cart with just stacks of $1,000, and he'll just hand them out to people like, "Here you go." Like
so Jim Irsay is the Rodney Dangerfield
yeah, exactly.
Of the NFL owners.
Yeah, he said it like he'll be like, "Hey kid, like go get me that water jug," and like the kid will bring him a water bottle. He's like, "Here you go," and like gives him like bulk at $1,000. It's
unbelievable.
Fuck. All right, I gotta go to bed. I just wish every owner was like that. Just super ridiculous.
I wish we were the official Jim Irsay podcast. If Irv doesn't stay healthy, we're pivoting.
We can be. If he flies one more whale out, we might have.
I'd be down if our pencil dick owner Jed York sold the team to Irsay. They just did a swap. Like, hey, let's just swap. You know.
Not a bad idea.
It's closer to Leeds United. All right, guys.
Dude,
thanks
just
for
do
listening.
me a favor before you go to sleep. Just go read Jim Irsay's Wikipedia towards the bottom. You will not be disappointed. I'm reading shit here about like his outrageous collection of guitars, and like he wanted Kurt Cobain's guitar, but only if the blood was like still on it and stuff. It's like
what would he show himself?
Crazy. An accomplished weightlifter? Who knew he was a weightlifter? I love this guy. All right, that's it.
Oh my god. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe, smash the like button. Later, guys.
Peace out.